first fry cooks the potatoes so that their interiors are light and fluffy, and the second fry, that crisps them all over. I just grossly oversimplified fries, and I'm actually going to take it one step further. Fries are about bringing together starch, fat, and heat in just the right way. Starch molecules, they're packed into crystals, and when they cook, those crystals break open because the starches have absorbed water. If you heat the
use something that's already crispy. I've got some breadcrumbs here that I microwaved earlier. I stirred together 1.25 cups of panko breadcrumbs and 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, and I microwaved them on high until golden brown and crispy. Even though breadcrumbs feel dry, they actually have some residual moisture in them, and as they're next to the
pounded just to kind of loosen the paper from the garlic clove. I find it to be a little bit easier to do so that way. And then my trusty garlic press. I love to use this especially when mincing garlic because it's going to ensure that everything's going to be the same size. Like you see these little dots right there, that's going to be the actual size of the garlic.
Is coated in sauce. Now we get the pecorino, and I'm just looking for the cheese to melt and that sauce to thicken slightly. So it usually takes about a minute for that cheese to heat up and melt and that sauce to tighten up, and you just got to be patient. You don't want to be too aggressive with this because you could break the pasta. This is looking pretty good. I'm going to shut off the heat, and I want this a little saucier, so I'm going to add a little bit more of that pasta liquid. Yeah, that's it. We're done. Let's eat. The nice thing about
is a type called phthalates. Those have been shown to have some harmful health effects. Our experts said that the best things you can do is to make sure that the bags you choose have no BPA or phthalates. Most of the bigger brands, including our winners, do not use them. And to stay informed. We continue to monitor the situation, and we have some articles on our website about plastic safety. Over the years, I have used just an embarrassing number of plastic bags at home. And I have been trying to cut back, mainly because Hannah is such an advocate for not using single-use plastics. Every time I pick up a
permeate, I added the water now just to cook and hydrate the pasta. Now that it's simmering, we're going to reduce the heat to medium. I'm going to cover it, and we're going to cook this, stirring occasionally until the pasta is nearly al dente, which will take about 8 minutes. When I first started developing this recipe, I tried cooking it covered until the pasta was fully done, but I found that after I added enough water so the pasta could cook through evenly, the final sauce was watery. So I figured I'd need a second stage to reduce the sauce down. I'll uncover and continue to cook, tossing the pasta gently until the pasta is fully cooked through and the sauce is thickened. So at this stage, I said the pasta is going to be al dente, or nearly al dente. What do I mean by that? Well, when you take a mindful experience where you can smell, taste, stir, and hear the food cooking, this is literally a black box, a black cylinder, black cylindoid. We're going to look at, in depth, one of the mainstays of classical cooking, the braise, and why the Instant Pot is so suited to this type of cooking. And I'm going to make for you one of my all-time favorite multi-cooker recipes, braised short ribs with fennel and pickled grapes. Over the years, and the 3 cookbooks we worked on multi-cookers, we really saw the improvement and the potential for what these devices are capable of. The first thing we did was take a really good look inside of one. A pot, unsurprisingly, with a heavy-duty core with an aluminum center variation as well. So the oil's almost ready. We're going to pat our beef dry. And so I always like to pat my meat dry and season it right before cooking, because when you add salt, it can draw out some of that moisture, and that moisture really can impair that browning. I'm just going to add a half teaspoon of table salt and toss to combine so it's all well coated. We're going to cook this until it's very well browned. It'll take about 6 to 8 minutes. We want to brown it on all sides. For me, one of the biggest improvements of Instant Pot over the years, the quality of the browning. When I first started developing recipes with Instant Pot, the browning was not nearly as good. You used to have a lot of these hot spots when you just had that single ply, tight gauge bag of ice. And this cuts the natural release time from about 15 to 20 minutes to about 5 or 6 minutes. So it's been about 5 minutes, and we can tell that it's depressurized because the pressure gauge has dropped. Remove our bag of ice, and we can open up our pressure cooker safely. And it's barely even simmering now. Oh, but it smells really good. So I'm going to remove the beef. Oh, I can feel it's tender as well. And I'm going to remove the rosemary. That's really given us everything it's got to give. And now we can separate the veggies from the sauce. So I'm just going to strain it into a small bowl.
Traditional lasagna in this skillet. So I'm going to go in for a little bite, just because I should. By little bite, I mean huge bite. So tender. It like melts in your mouth. Get some of those noodles, the ricotta cheese, some basil. If I had a blindfold on, I would think this was just regular lasagna. And it normally takes so long to make one. And I was able to make this in one skillet, and it just took a little bit of time. I really want you to make this. It is so delicious. You now have a go-to weeknight recipe for skillet lasagna.
Has a broiler function because that's how you cook toast. We're going to stir in a 1/4 cup of mozzarella, 1/4 cup of Parmesan. The mozzarella is for that lovely cheese pull, and the Parmesan just gives you the extra tangy flavor. I'm going to stir that in so that the mozzarella melts, and we want the Parmesan just to really just incorporate with every bite. Now we're going to dollop it with 2 ounces of whole milk ricotta, and then we'll top it with another 1/4 cup of grated Parmesan and another 1/4 cup of shredded mozzarella. Beautiful. And we're going to pop this back under the broiler until the cheese is melted and it's bubbling around the edges.
Bell cakes, they're lovely. That crumb layer is great, but a chiffon cake layer underneath your ice cream cake is just better. Letting food stick is kind of counterintuitive given how much hype nonstick, cast iron, and carbon steel get. And I'm not saying you should throw out your nonstick or let the carbon steel rust. Just know that there are times when it's more than okay to let your food stick. It's a pretty nice cake, huh?
Need our wet ingredients. I have some buttermilk, nice and cold, about a 1/2 cup. Buttermilk has, you know, that signature tang that it gives to any kind of baked good. And I also have 8 tablespoons of melted butter, and I went ahead and melted this ahead of time because I wanted it to have some time to cool. So I'm going to stir these together, and you're going to see that the butter is
You want to combine any pasta with a pesto, it's going to benefit from a cold start. Also, Teflon cut pastas or quick cooking pastas, they're going to benefit from a cold start because they slough off less starch during cooking. On the other hand, if you've got a bronze cut pasta or something that just takes a long time to cook, you'll want to begin with more water. So hot start, 2 or 4 quarts of water. There's no one best way to cook all pasta. So the next time you're putting together a pasta dish, think about the shape.
There's a really lovely creaminess from the ricotta, and that fresh bit of basil just freshens the whole thing up. And the pasta, perfectly cooked. The sauce is cohesive but not watery, and the pasta completely tender without being soaked out. I mean, this really tastes like someone's put a lot of love into it and spent a couple of hours cooking it. And it only took us 45 minutes to make from start to finish. If you haven't made whole meals in your toaster oven, you should definitely start here. Are you more likely to make the ziti or the fried chicken sandwiches? Let me know in the comments below.
reheating pizza that guarantees melty cheese and a tender, crispy crust. It's gonna take longer than microwaving, but I promise it's worth it. Trust me. To start, place your slices of cold pizza on a rimmed.
Sharpening knives by hand on whetstones is super easy. There, I said it. Let me know how wrong I am in the comments below. Seriously though, it isn't that hard, and you don't need a bunch of fancy gear to get a decent edge on your own kitchen knives. Sure, you can totally go down the rabbit hole and get all the crazy gear and watch all of Naoto's sharpening videos and get really nerdy about knife sharpening, but it's not necessary just to maintain your own knives at home. Today, I'm going to show you the bare minimum of gear that's required and how to get a good edge on your knives the very first time. Okay, so first